right, here we go. We're getting close to Christmas. What's up, Dustin? At the Chick-fil-A on the guy. Yeah, nice. Good job, Dustin. All right, let's get into it where we're at every week. Let's talk about track attendance, guys. Track attendance, we're going to PTs first. PTs, there was a 46 and an 83. Go Fast, they were 19 and a 37. Thunderdome, 20 and a 33. Limestone, they did a Friday night deal where they're running the box stock type stuff, 18 and a 36. Brick House, they had a club race, 23 and a 43. Hoosier Hobbies, they did a Tuesday deal, 22 and a 28. Darlington, they did indoor, 18-20. Dirt Devil indoor, 29 and a 66. A lower limit was 58 and a 99. I did not check 608. I don't know if they ran today or not. I'm sure they did 1RC stuff, but I didn't check today. So that's where that's at, guys. Pretty good turnout. What's up, Chris? Slideways points night number 3 is this weekend. Okay, yeah, I don't know if I'll make it down there. We'll see. I've got a lot to do here, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah, so that's kind of where it's at, guys. I think it's pretty good. PT's kind of proved a point this weekend, in my opinion. They did have a big race this weekend. It was the Midget Mayhem race. I watched it on Live RC, just kind of see how things were going. Very interesting to run. They only ran 3 classes. And if you guys didn't see the live feed that they were talking about it, I like the idea of it. The guys got in there and out of there at a reasonable time. I think they did 1 round of seeding, 2 rounds, 2 heats, and then mains. The way it sounds from people talking about it, it sounds like it was a pretty badass show in the A main with the midgets. The 13.5 late model, and then the they were in buggy street stock also, I think. So I haven't heard it yet, but I'm sure we will, guys. There's a lot of guys that bumped to that class, those classes, and I can't blame them. A lot of guys that normally wouldn't run those classes ran those classes this weekend because there was only 3 classes, and it still ended up with 83. It just shows you don't have to have 150 classes to get a turnout. 83 is a good number. The way Limestone's been, the way PT's been going with all their numbers, I'm sure they were glad to have that lower number. It did cost a lot to get into that race, but you also got a motor out of that deal. They gave away a 13.5 Witz motor to with your entry fee. So you got a Witz motor out of it for, what was it, $125? Kevin says midget A main top 4 nose to tail for at least 30 consecutive laps. That's cool, man. That's good racing. We got down there right as the A's were starting, and I wasn't going just right as the midget A was starting, last race of the night, and me and the wife went and got something to eat. So instead, we didn't make it down there. I wasn't running in the last minute for one race, although it sounds like it was a good one. I think Dustin ended up winning that deal, so congrats to him on that win. But it just shows, guys, you don't have to have all them classes. We're going to run one this summer. This summer called Full Fendered 55. It's actually a concept that one of our partners at the track here has put out there, and I said, let's try it. I don't know that the turnout's going to be great because there's some different classes in it. You guys will see that coming up. But they're classes that are ran around. We just don't see them here as much. So hopefully that will come out. It's all going to be fendered cars. So that's hence the name. Sorry, guys. I had to get a drink before I lose my voice already. So, yeah, I think that's good. I think it's going to be a really good – I think it's a good trial to make sure everybody understands that you don't have to have 100 classes. And 83 cars is plenty. Guys, on a good night, a good, nice, easy night, fun night of racing, you're not cramming people in there. Let's jump over. Hang on, let me do some stuff here real quick, guys. Let's jump over. Let's talk about something, guys. I put out the question of the week this week. And one of them got a pretty good turnover, but I thought we'd talk about it anyway. It's going to be about the poll I put out. I don't know if everybody's seen the poll or not, but I did put a poll out this week about what do you like? We're talking about the amount of time you're at the track. What's more important, getting home early or track time? 20% said get home early and 80% said track time. Guys, I don't really know. I don't know what to say about that. I think it's good. Guys want track time. The difference is the quality of track time, right? I think everybody wants good track time, but then whenever it comes down to it, a lot of guys don't always show up for track time. And that makes it hard for everybody. You know what I mean? To see that or to do that. So whenever you get track time and the opportunity arises to do that, make sure you take advantage of that. Need all the track time we can get. Yeah, agreed, Rick. That's big. There's a lot of people that don't take advantage of it, but the good ones, that's where we're at. That was brought up. Let me see. I don't remember who brought. Oh, Kevin Kinsey said that. Kevin Kinsey put that poll out. What's more important, getting home early or more track time? And Sean said he thought it was going to be a 50-50 in the comments to the question of the week, and it ends up being skewed way the other way. Track owners probably need to think about that a little bit and see if there's something that they can do to give people more track time. But on the other hand of that is the track time that you get needs to be the best track time that guys can get. I don't know if that's the difference in when you give practice to guys, when you don't give practice to guys. I don't know how that looks, honestly. But, and completely, I can't give that answers. But, let's see what I got in the comments. I know Jason was going to talk to me about it if I made it down to PTs. Unfortunately, I didn't, so his discussion seemed to be a lengthy one about it. And we can talk about that at some other time, Jason, and revisit this if you don't want to thumb away. But he says, last night would have been home early. I sucked, and more track time was not going to help me, LOL. Personally, Weasel says, personally, I just don't like wasted time making the day longer. So, wasted time being a slower, unorganized program, Weasel, is that what you're saying about? Or are you saying track time being, we're not talking just sitting at the track, right? We're talking about practice before and or after the race is what we're talking about, track time. You know, not just hangout time. Quality time is what I'm thinking. That's how I'm looking at that as a track owner. Everybody says that early practice sucks because it doesn't matter, but you know who's out there for early practice? Everybody. Forever. And thousands of laps put on before anybody ever gets on the track. And people say, we don't really need that track time, but the reality of it is there's always people on the track. Right? We can't keep enough water on it during the day from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock when we race because track time, because there's so many cars on the track. So, and you got to get it when it's wet or, you know, honestly, we could water every 10 minutes and it probably most of the time wouldn't help. You know what I mean? It'd be dry in that 10 minutes. Rick says track time is hard in the winter since most tracks are hour to 2 hours away. So really hard to load up in practice. Yes, Rick, that's understandable. We are, I'm 45 minutes from high bite and I am an hour from anything else, from PTs. So, I don't know how many guys are out at Four Rocks today. Hopefully there's a bunch out there. I didn't even check to see if they were running live RC times or not, but they were going to race until 6 o'clock. So I don't know how many guys were out there today, but it's good that they did. They let guys get out there and get some of that done. So that was good. But yeah, I think quality time of the track, not just track time. That's the difference, right? Most people don't understand the difference. Maybe they do and don't care, or they just want to bitch. But the reality of it is quality track time is different. And I understand Weasel's point of not wanting to waste time at the track. Okay? All right. Another thing I want to talk about. I'm wearing a McAllister shirt today, guys. I just got it in for supporting them. Ross and them guys down there are doing a really good job of helping that gentleman that's house burnt behind their shop or next to their shop, what have you. So I don't know if he's still doing it or not. I think he's over with that, but thank you to him. Just shows really good on the hobby. So we participated in buying a shirt to help him out with that. We were going to get into the drawing and ended up not getting in, but the GFRP drawing. So that's even more that's helping that guy out. I don't know. I haven't heard a number yet, but that's a damn good thing that the hobby's doing to help somebody that's not even in the hobby. The guy maybe not even know what was going on in the hobby, right? Maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know any of the particulars of it, but the reality of it is there's another deal where the hobby is helping out somebody else that may or may not be involved in the hobby. So good job to Ross and those guys down there. Let's get one more thing out of the way, then we can get into normal operating system here, guys. Those of you that have been around a long time, and I've put it out here a few times, I think I talked about it last week. Guys, we're doing a giveaway today. Those of you that have entered into and gave me a question of the week, we are going to do a random name draw, spin the wheel for a prize, for prizes. There's going to be one, and here's how it's going to happen and why I did it. I did it this way, guys, because I wanted to entice people to put a comment in there, guys. A lot of times it's hard to get guys to talk about what's going on, what they want to talk about. They're scared, they're whatever. I don't know what it is, but hang on, let me get this up here. Okay. Whatever it is, I don't know, but we decided to do a drawing. So here, I'm going to pull up the wheel here. If you have given me a name, if you have given me a question of the week, topic, that's your name's on there. Okay? We're going to spin right now. Whoever wins it, I'll tell you what you won. And here we go. Let's see. There it is. Guys, this is just a thank you for all you guys. I'm not giving it to him. That's my son. We'll draw again. I can't give him what he don't get shit. We'll roll again. We pulled him out of there. He got today's, so. Looks like it's going to be Rick Taylor. Rick, you have just won. Here's what it is. I'm going to need to get your information. Let me get this screen out. Let's get back to this one. Rick Taylor. Rick Taylor. Tracy's me so mad. So here's what's up. We are, I'm going to get you into a Kempton Speedway and or a in my opinion podcast shirt, and then you'll get a Kempton Speedway hoodie. Okay. Also, we are doing there's a group that I follow. Let me get their post up here real quick. There's a group that I follow a lot, and it's called Farmer Grade. There they are, Farmer Grade. So what they do is Farmer Grade puts out boxes. They are a direct-to-consumer meat producer. I will listen to their podcast every week. They are a small business, just like a lot of us are. And we will do a $100 gift box from Farmer Grade sent to your home. Okay? They're out of Iowa, so they're right there by you. Rick, actually. So that'll be a quick shipment for you. And Kevin said Rick was tilting the board. Oh, hang on. Let me get out of that. Sorry, guys. Ricky. All right, so there's that. Being big has its advantages. So yeah, so you'll get a $100 gift box from Farmer Grade. You will also get a shirt and a hoodie from us. And thank you for everybody for putting in on that, guys. Honestly, it's just about giving back to you guys a little bit. Without your guys' input weekly, what do I talk about? You know what I mean? I can come up with stuff, but it's so much better whenever racers talk about what they want to talk about, and we all get in on here and make shit happen. So, Rick, I'll get with you in messages later to get sizes and address. Let me write you down. Not that I'll forget, but the sizes and address, and then we'll get that stuff shipped to you, okay? I have your Fall Brawl shirt, too, and we'll send that with it. Yep, no problem. Send whenever. So there's that, guys. I think all the extras are taken care of. Let's get into what we're doing. I like open practice after all the mains are finished. Yes, I agree with that, Dennis. That is the best time to race, right? Is no problem, Rick. That is the best time to be able to race. The track's the best it can be. And that's the best you're going to get, right? So after mains are the best. I feel like there's some tracks that are going to get into doing that. I feel like there's some tracks that can, some tracks that can't. Now, if your show is not huge and you can get it off in a reasonable amount of time, that is a great thing. Otherwise, you get 75 to 100 cars. You can have an hour or so of practice afterwards. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of times where you can't. You know what I mean? If it's really, really late, of course, guys don't want to stay, and I understand that. But yes, open practice after mains. We're always open after the mains. Okay? We're usually sitting and bullshitting for a while. Rick says, I've stayed like 30 or 45 minutes afterwards until the promoter says lights out. Yeah, and that's how it is, guys. I mean, at some point, promoters are going to go, hey, we got to go. But to that point, that's where we're at. So I think good track time is track time. And optional track time is track time, right? A guy doesn't need to be out there. If we open it, say we open at 2 to race at 5, don't come at 2. Be here at 3:30. You might have a little trouble with pit spot unless somebody gives you one or holds you one. But, I mean, that's your choice. That's what you get to do. So, okay? Anybody else got anything on the track time? All right. Question of the week. Let's get to that. Question of the week is from Trace. We were listening to some podcasts this week, and he said, what's wrong with spec classes? He said, all we hear about is purpose-built cars. That is, I mean, I thought about it. And I thought about it in the past, but for him to say that, I'm like, wow, what's up with that? You know what I mean? I think there's so much information. Jared Hall says, I've shut off half the lights after the mains to have a practice session so I'm not blinding the neighbors. Yeah. Dennis says, but not have open practice before the mains. I like the format PTs is having. Yeah, we do just a little bit because there's, as our resort, but other than that, if we don't have to prep the track, it's ready to rip. Rick Taylor says, spec racing is awesome and some of the best racing. Agreed. Kevin Smith says, there's absolutely nothing wrong with spec race classes at all. I don't think he meant it by that. I don't know how he meant it, honestly, Kevin. I think what was meant by it was why don't we have all these topics that are out there for mod? I don't even want to say mod, purpose-built cars. Why don't we have that for your buggy street stock, your slash street stock, your non-purpose-built stuff? The guys that are trying to get into it. I mean, a lot of guys think it might transfer over, but the reality of it is I don't believe it does because the intimidation factor. And we talk about intimidation factors a lot on here, and I think that's part of it, you know. Sean says, I always like to stay open a while for after race practice at the brick house. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? You're there anyway. Dennis says the handout motor makes it fair for all. Dennis, I'm not disagreeing with the handout motor idea. I'm disagreeing with the cost and the respect to run that. The more I've talked to people and the more I've thought about it, I think the respect is not there, and I agree. I think people will burn motors up on handout. And you say, well, make them pay for one if they burn it up. What if somebody burns it up on accident? You know what I mean? Like, what if somebody is, it's not like a blatant deal. That's hard to pin it on them. Why are you picking on him and not me? You know what I mean? So that's kind of where that's at. And the cost of the tracks. I know we're all millionaires that run these tracks, and it takes and we don't, we make a ton. We've witnessed that this year, how much money's really made in this deal. And it's very hard to do. If I really thought it was legitimate, I would do it one way or another. But the more and more I'm thinking, the more and more I'm wondering. And do we just tech motors and let you buy your own and tech them? Have a couple Hobby Wings or whatever on hand to be able to purchase if yours is not legal. I don't know yet, but there is. I put it out to a group of track owners about that spec and racing and the 13.5 bullshit, and everybody says, let it ride because it's not as big a deal as most people think it is. Pretty much. I don't know. I think it should be spec. I should think it should be tech too. It's just figuring out how to do it. Kevin Smith says, are you meaning where are resources for spec classes? Yeah, that's what I mean. As much as anything, I think, is what he's saying. Is the resources aren't there for a spec class to grow that side of it as much as, and I'm not all spec, right? I mean, but yeah, that's just the difference, you know? I don't think there's enough resources out there for a guy to understand by watching, reading, whatever it is, on how to do that. Rick Taylor says, so with the handout motors, are you required to run the set gears or is it open? That's track's discretion. Kevin Smith says PT's was open. So I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's another thing. You'd almost have to set a gear to not burn one up. And then you got to tech that anyway, so you might as well tech the motors. I mean, there's so much to spec racing. Everybody says spec racing is cheaper than mod. It might be, but the reality of it is you spend a lot of time and a lot of money trying to get that one number, right? Just a little number. I just need a little number. And it's very expensive for guys to get that one little number. Dustin Cooper says, I just wish the tracks would get together on Just Stock Tech. I don't need 5 stickers on one motor. Dustin, I agree with that. That does need to be addressed, and it was talked about by a few of us on something there. It does actually. I was talking to RC Underground Dave Brinkman from the RC Underground about it, and that does something needs to happen there, and I think that could happen. You know what I mean? Matt Steiger says tech at PTs this weekend was awesome. ESC motors, wires, brass, everything. Wires, brass, and everything. Yeah, I wasn't there for it, Matt, but that's cool that they did a good tech and good inspection on it all, because that's what needs to happen, you know? Kevin Smith says, spec class, if Jason Van Nuys had time to do it, he would be an amazing resource to some how-tos. Yeah. Yep. I think there's quite a few spec guys out there that could be really good. You know what I mean? And Jason's been doing it a long time. Very good at the spec side. Also, he could run mod probably if he wanted to. You know what I mean? But he chooses to stay in the spec side, and why not? You know, /3 stock, if you get that into the SC stuff, which, like I've said in the past, I think is fading off, but if you get into that stuff, there's plenty of guys here that can help you with that, because we run so many of them. It's just figuring out a way to do it and taking the time. It's not, if you can't get the spec stuff, I mean, if you throw together a half-assed how-to, it's going to be half-assed. You know what I mean? I think the stuff that the guys are doing at PTs, which I know they're building a purpose-built car, I will be down there for that. I want to check that out too. And Brad's doing some stuff. I don't know. I think his is going to be more well-rounded, and nothing against PTs, but I think his is going to be more for all the races, right? Everybody, and not just a purpose-built deal. Do I think you can learn some stuff from the purpose-built stuff? Of course you can. There's basics that transfer, but I think, honestly, a lot of it is intimidation. That's a GFRP car. That's a purpose-built car. Those guys are fast. We've all heard it. So I think that's where the problem comes in. Then it says guys pay big bucks on batteries and spec. Yeah, there's so much money in spec classes, guys. Everybody says it's cheaper, but the reality of it is probably not as cheap as what most people wish, right? You're looking for that one number. It is what it is. Okay? Just something to think about, guys. When everybody's bitching because a guy, and I agree, I'm telling you, I'm saying the same thing. I don't think a guy should jump into a 13.5 late model right off the rip. I've never ran an RC car. Let me get a 13.5 late model. And that's tough. I don't think that's where that needs to be. I really believe that a guy needs to be in a buggy street stock if he's going that route, because that will help him learn the car. Excuse me, we talked about it before. Not get over his head. Too many adjustments. Too many options. I think Matt Riker brought that up early on in this deal, like 24 episodes ago, because we're on episode 25, I believe. He said the same thing. He said a guy can get way in over his head with all the adjustments. And I think that's where the buggy street stock comes in better. You know what I mean? To learn that. That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to own a 13.5 just stock this year. 13.5 late model this year. I'm also going to own a buggy street stock. And I will run, if I run anywhere this winter or this summer, it will be buggy street stock until I get it figured out. And I will play around with my late model here at the track. Rick says, I run spec classes, simply can't afford a purpose-built car. And that's 100% part of it. You know what I mean? There are cheaper classes. The slash classes are very cheap. And they're very competitive. It costs you a little bit to be really competitive in the slash class though too. Don't get that twisted. It's not cheap to be competitive in that class either. Cheaper than most, but not cheap. I just feel like there needs to be, as Kevin put it, probably the best, there needs to be some more resources. And I think there needs to be a group or a person or somebody figure out how to help do that. You would think manufacturers would, but Jason says, Jason Van Nuys, who Kevin was talking about, I don't know as much as you think these days. I learned guys send out Hobby Wing ESCs to get recoded with timing. Guys spend big money for tuned just stocks. The amount of time building new tires to beat them down and sand them to slicks just to have an advantage. That's not spec racing. I buy an ESC, I install it at the track, set throttle, and off I went. I was 2 laps off the pace this weekend. Yeah, Jason. I don't disagree with you at all with that. I don't disagree at all. I really think that, and this is a bitch that happens, and I always say, guys, run where you run. I don't care who that is, right? But a lot of guys are taking the tricks that and the knowledge that they have from running the faster stuff and bringing it down, and that, I don't want to say it corrupts or destroys the class, but it makes the class less inviting, I guess, at times. Kevin Smith says, I feel like Buggy Street Stock is a stepping stone for late model / Midwest mod, and now with the low C Sprint offers a good stepping stone to the 13.5 Sprint. I agree 100%. Hi, Mama. Yes, I agree. Kevin, I think them are 2 great stepping stones. I think the Buggy Street Stock, man, sorry guys. The Buggy Street Stock is the best stepping stone to get into anything buggy based. Work your way through late model, then Midwest mod, and then Midwest or 13.5 late, and or Midwest mod into mod. Low C Sprint will be a good stepping stone. There's been guys on here talk before about 13.5 Sprint being low C being competitive with that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but you get the fast 13.5 Sprint guys, I don't think the low C can keep up. Joe says, don't be intimidated outside of the hobby. The fast guys are just people. Joe's correct. We're all just people, right? We just do our thing, and that's just it. You treat them well, and you put in the work. I think you're going to get a really good idea of who they are and what they are, right? And they'll see you. We've talked about it on here, guys. I don't beg people to come to the track. I don't beg people to get on the podcast. I don't beg nothing. And I reach out and do my thing. And I tell people thank you and great job, or you suck. And they either love me or hate me. But everybody that's out there racing, everybody that's out there promoting, they're all the same people. We all do it all together, and we're all doing it for the hobby. Rick talking to Jason Van Ice, he says, Jason Van Ice, if they are doing that, then jump up to open classes. Dustin says, Jason, that's what a Blinky Buster is for. Chris says, some guys have friends in high places. Yeah. And Josh Andrews says, feels better to figure it out on your own. Guys, I don't care what class you're in. To Josh's point, you have to figure some of this shit out on your own. Do you think that any of the guys that are out there doing this every week are going to hand you the answers and you're just going to rake in all the cash from it? You know what I mean? I don't see that being the right way to do it. They say these races are won on the bench, and I don't disagree. But the thing about it is you have to try things on the bench that somebody's not telling you about. You have to be your own racer, your own pit crew, your own crew chief. You know what I mean? Unless you're paying a guy to do it for you, then you've got to go out there. Let's see. Dennis says BB Mod's tire handout at the 2-day race is a great deal. Yeah, that's gonna be a cool deal. Brad's doing a good deal there. He's wanting to get that tire out there anyway, and I think that's a good deal. If you guys are in the area to race that race it, because you're going to get wheels and tires for free on the buy-in. Josh says they're only going to help till you beat them. Then it's crickets. I call bullshit. You better find somebody else, Josh, to help you. I can tell you right now, there's a guy, I don't know if he's on here tonight or not. I'm sure he will be later if he ain't now, that is helping people every weekend and getting his ass handed to him by the younger kids that he's helping. Guaranteed. Probably more than one that's on here that I know of right now. If he's not on here, he's on here most weeks. Them two guys. They'll get their ass handed to them every weekend by these kids that they're helping. So you need to find a better group to help you. Josh, I also understand. I know a guy that did that. I know a guy that would do exactly what you said. And you just distance yourself from them people. There are far better ones out there. Believe me. Okay? Don't let that discourage you or think that's the truth, because there are damn good people out there. Justin says you're going to fail more than you succeed. 100%, Justin. And we've watched Justin come through, and I mean, he knows. He don't win them all, and he don't make it happen every weekend, but I feel like he continues to learn from it. Rick Taylor says, make adjustments. If they work, great. If not, learn what not to do, and remember what works for me won't always work for you. Yeah, and guys, keep a record of it. Keep a record of what you're doing. A notebook, a big notebook, a tablet, a device of some sort, something like that. Dustin says, Josh, that's bullshit. Yeah, that's very bluntly put, but he's right. Josh, I'm telling you, buddy, there is room. Where are you from? Where's your home track at, Josh? And I don't want to bag on anybody, but are you up north? I'm telling you, there's guys there, man. Don't let that get you, because they're. We've talked about it a little bit here. Jacksonville area. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's guys. I know guys that race down there. There's guys. Okay, so get you a good group. But here's my take on it. I'll give you my take as soon as I get in reading Kevin's book. Kevin says, I will agree and disagree. I know there's a huge group that always help even on bad nights. And if you're appreciative, you show them the same respect, you put in the work, and you don't go ask 27 other people the same question, you'll get an input. Right. I was going to say about the same thing as he says. Slideways in the winter, and there's guys at Slideways that help a ton. So I will stick my own foot in my mouth there. Yeah. Okay. Rick says I got 2 folders full of knots and changes. Yeah. That's the best way to do it. Just continue to grow that portfolio. So, and Josh, I understand why you would say that. But I'm agreeing with Kevin a lot too. If you don't try, you don't show. If you don't show knots, if you don't show the initiative, you're not going to be there. Just plain and simple. The guys that want to help are guys that see you getting better and better and better and better. You know what I mean? And you're out racing a lot. Here's what I'm going to say in my own experience. Not that I'm helping with any kind of a setup, anything like that. But here's what I see. I know that Leona Clark, she's doing damn good this year. She and her dad are out racing almost every weekend somewhere. Whether it be Slideways, whether it be PTs, whether it be Four Rocks. I don't think they're going to make that race because they're racing Slideways the same weekend. But there it is. Those guys, they are out racing every weekend, somewhere almost every weekend, okay? Summertime, they're racing all over every weekend. So those are the people that are going to get help because they're out, they're seen, there's more people you see a progress. You see how things are, how they see how other people are doing things. They're trying to make adjustments. That helps. The other thing is, as track owners, try not to set your mod guys up in one area. And I say mod guys, your more experienced racers. Try not to group them. I know they all want to sit together, and that's fine, but make sure there's no divide before that, okay? Try to make sure that there's always an open line of communication where they're not singled out. And I'm not saying they are a lot, but I've seen some places, we talked about it, when I first went to Brad's, that table, that group of tables, I'm like, not me today, boys. Come to find out, them dudes are some badass dudes, and they're good. They're good people. They're fun to hang out with, and you just got to figure it out and jump in there. Show them what you're going to do. Ask them one little question or one thing, and then go with it. Figure out how it's working, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, after you've fought, maybe you go ask another one. But if you go ask 10 questions at a time, and then you go out and you're like, that sucked. What do I do now? See what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you're doing that, Josh. I'm just putting that scenario out there that I've seen. Kevin says, Josh, don't. He's not saying that doesn't happen, but find that group. Dig hard, and there are people who will genuinely help you. Yes, there is. Josh says, I'm trying. I'm just starting to figure out the 13.5 stuff. Been in the top 3 all winter with the sprint car. I can't get out as much as I would like. That's understandable too, Josh. It's not about that. You know what I mean? It's not always about every minute, but it's as much as you can, and we understand life happens. I didn't make it this weekend either, right? So that kind of stuff happens. And he says he most definitely agrees with that. All right, guys, there's that. So that's my point to it all, guys. I don't know who can do it. I don't know how it can happen. If I had the resource, or if I had resources and I had people that would be willing to help with that and do that, I would be more than happy to. But the reality of it is, let's see what happens at Brad's BB Mods this summer with his seminars. Let's see what happens with this deal here. September 5th. 5th and 6th. Let's see how that works out for everybody. See if how or who and how they have that set up. And also this one, we've already talked about this a little bit, and you've seen some stuff. The February 8th deal for BB Mods. We know that's going to be a purpose-built car, which is fine. I think anybody that wants to go down there, you can probably learn something out of that by just talking about maintenance on cars, talking about the radios, setups. Some of that's going to be to transition some, but and I beg you not to be too intimidated by it. You know what I mean? You might be sitting in there with some of the fastest guys in the Midwest, or the fastest guys in the Midwest, and the best maintenance guys in the Midwest might be up there doing the show for you. But you're going to be able to pick something up. Promise you, there's going to be some. Okay? So get down there and see what's up. I know Tom said he's footing the bill on some of that, so it is a donation fee, a fee by donation only. Make sure if you guys go down there and you get anything out of that, make sure you donate, okay? Help the hobby, help you. All right. Let's get back. Let's get rid of this up top. We're going to go to the topic of the week, guys. Let's get that ready to rip here. Guys, we talked about this topic of the week a couple weeks ago on a podcast. One of the midweek deals we did. Here it is. Dave Brickman, RC Underground Radio, put it out there. What does the perfect series look like? What's up, Randy Brewmeister? What's up, buddy? Good to have you on here. Talking spec. Probably one of the best in the Midwest right there, talking about spec racing. Dave Brinkman said, what does the perfect series look like? What do you guys think that looks like? honestly, guys, I don't know. I'm very anxious to see Brad's setup to see how it works this year. If that works, non-traditional series like that works, it's going to be probably the best. My opinion. You don't add races. You don't have a promoter or race director. You run your race. We tally points. You know what I mean? It's done on the side. I'll say independent. Brad's going to do it, but an independent's going to come in and do it all for you. You're not going to do anything. You know what I mean? You just run your race. If you wanted to be a points race at your track, you can be a points race at your track at the same time. Brad's just pulling it from the backside in his own way. He's going to go look at live RC. So make sure your live RC is working right. Or correct that as it goes, right? But that's the only side to that I think that's probably your best. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. What do you guys think? Is there something you guys want to see in a series? I know we talked about it the other night, kind of as a sidebar, but Kevin says Brad has a very stout idea. Yeah, I think I looked up Legends cars. That's how they do it in the Legends stuff. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I'm not bagging on the Wit series. I think that's going to be a good series too. More traditional, right? I think the GLSS series is still going to be a very strong series. I think they're going to, but you got to watch the travel on that, right? You have to have a race director that's going to travel to each one. Jake Howard said, I think a traveling series would look different if we didn't have so many tracks. It's hard with how many we have as close as we do. I agree, Jake, and I think here's the problem with it. And this is my side of seeing that, right? Everybody would think just the opposite. What I want to see in a series is me on top. Yeah, all right, Chris. That's for another podcast. Anyway, Jake, most people would see, hey, you have all those tracks. It'd be really easy, close. Who do you leave out? You can't do them all. We can't have a 10-race series, right? There's not that many weekends to burn up. However, you know what I mean? But I agree. I think so many tracks is hard. And then do you just stay in the you could do 10 you could do 10 tracks in this area, right? Not counting if you want to go to Iowa, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin. Then what are we going to do? So, I agree. Very hard thing to think about, hard thing to figure out what's the best way of doing it. I agree. What else you guys got? What do you guys think about the size of classes? How many classes do you run in a points series? In a series, in a traveling series. How many? Maybe that needs to be, instead of a series, it needs to be a perfect traveling series, right? That would probably be a better question, a better thought is, what would be the best traveling series? Let me change that. Then we can go back to talking about it. What do you guys think of that? What's the best traveling series look like? I mean, what do you guys want to see? Do you guys want to see, like 6 staple classes? Do you want to see 4 staple classes? I mean, how many you have to make that happen? And what looks the best on that? I don't know. I like 6 with 1 bonus. Track's choice. Jake says mod only. Too many classes, then some classes get left out and those drivers get mad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I agree with Jake. I would like to see a mod only deal. I think that would be, honestly, I would like to see mod, sprint, mod late model, 13.5 sprint, 13.5 late model, Midwest mod. Those 5. I would like to see those 5 in a series traveling. I think you can make that a big deal. Choice of more than 1 tire and bills paid, Joe Payne says. Yeah, that's I agree with him. I agree with him on both sides of that too. I think you need about 2 or 3 tires, and you need bills paid. Agreed. Street stock in there, Randy says. Five tires and 5 classes and an open tire. Josh says, I don't disagree with Randy on the street stock deal. To get that, I don't know. Depends on if you have, if you're only running mod. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of guys that travel with the guys that run mod classes that run street stock. So maybe there. I don't know. Josh says the open tire deal. I think that's going to hurt you, Josh. I think there are guys, I know there's guys that have talked to me because I was open tire last year that normally will not go to an open tire track. Because it's going to be a tire game. And you're going to be, I didn't say it. That's going to be a tire game and you're going to bring a bucket of them. Open motor street stock like Chili Bowl, I would be okay with that at some point. I think that would be pretty cool. Street stock is not a small class anymore. No, it's not. It's really a great class, Randy. I agree. I just don't know that you would be with, I guess with the mods, I guess, you know what I mean? If you're only running mod, though, in that. But as far as just a regular traveling series, street stock would definitely be in there. You know what I mean? Street stock would be, if I were to pick 5, Dank says, Randy, it is very, very super competitive. Yes, I think that's a great class. 100%. Let me ask you this, Randy, and you've been there. Do you like the 13.5 or you like it open? Whoever's raced the Chili Bowl, who can say that they like the buggy street stock in an open motor form, or do you like it in the 13.5 better? And I know track conditions, track size, it's all going to make a difference, but what do you guys think? Chris says buggy street stock needs to go purpose-built class and open it. I don't think that's true, Chris. So then, what's your entry? Randy says 13.5. Yeah, I think it's more competitive there, in my opinion. Chris, I think if you go purpose-built class and open it up, then you need a new class for that, if that's what they want to do. Josh says even with spec tire, you go to have 3 to 5 sets of tires. High pin, this prep, that prep, tire game is huge either way, but I see what you're saying for sure. So, yeah, you're right, Chris. Mod buggy, you would have to do something like that, like an open buggy. 13.5 is more than enough motor. I agree, Dank. and most tracks, right? Josh, back to you real quick. I was open tire last year. We were here at the Fall Brawl, and we had a lot of faster racers here. I seen Christmas ornament totes full of tires coming in. I'm sitting there calling a race, and I turn around, and there's guys just carrying totes and totes of tires in. So most times you don't have that, and that's what I'm saying. It will be 100% tire then, you know. Kevin Smith says, I think tires, there's no good answer. It's a double-edged sword. It is, but I think you have to limit it some. Yeah. Hey, Josh says, that's crazy, but I hear you. Yeah. There's guys that have been doing this for a long time. There's guys that run different classes. And these were the guys running in the mod classes bringing this to fuck around here at the track. I mean, honestly. We were racing for, I don't even have one. We were racing for boxing gloves and little boxing rings. So, you know what I mean? But I think that the 13.5 buggy street stock is a very competitive class, fun, one that is, in my opinion, one of the staples, one of the set in stone classes that build it from the bottom, and guys can get into it. It might take them a year to really figure that car out. If they stick with it and they race a lot and they work on it a lot, they will get better with it. And then they have options. They have to get enough people in those classes. And over the last few years, the buggy stuff has really taken off. And the buggy street stock class is huge. Rick says, I have 2 sets of tires and they are bald. Tyler says, keep a spec like someone commented earlier. It's good stepping stone class. Right, Tyler, I agree. Randy says, yes, sir. Yeah, that's the point to the spec stuff, guys. And you guys have heard me on here talk about the 13.5 late model spec stuff. And Randy's on here because me and Randy have talked about this too. I didn't understand the spoiler, honestly. I mean, I'm dumb. You know, I'm just a hillbilly. I didn't understand the spoiler enough to know why PT set that spoiler up that way. I didn't understand that. But I listened to Tom the other night talk about it, and I didn't understand the tow deal. I had people talk to me about it, but to hear it from Tom, who started the deal pretty much, I understand it more, guys. I'm not the most intelligent. I'm just trying to figure it out. And the more I talk to people and the more I hear and the more I'm open to conversation, the more I figure things out. And we will go back to the 13.5. We will go back to that 1-inch spoiler next year. And we will go back to the 0 and 3. And I'm working on stuff to help you guys with that, okay? Dennis says 13.5 is a good motor as long as it's open 13.5 and blinky. That's a catch-22, Dennis. You're never going to win that conversation. What if it's a 13.5? Why can't we go roar? Why can't we stay with just stock? Why can't we? There's so much. I feel like, honestly, and I'm not a just stock guy. I feel like the buggy is great with a just stock in it. It's enough motor to keep people under control and not tear their shit up every weekend. Then if you move up to the late model. I wish it was a bigger motor, but I understand why it's not. I wish maybe the 13.5 late model was open, but it's not. It's just stock still for now. But I think it's just to keep people learning how to adjust the cars. I really feel like after talking to or hearing Tom talk about it, I think that's really why that's happening. I think guys really get confused in the spec classes that it's I need more motor, I need more motor, I need more motor, and the reality of it is they probably just need more setup and more understanding. You know what I mean? I think that would help them as much as anything. You would probably pick up that speed you want if your car handled better. Just my opinion, and I'm not saying anything bad about you, Dennis, by any means. I know you've been doing this a long time. I'm not saying you in particular, but a lot of people that are getting into that, they need to figure out setup before they worry about getting more motor and more motor. As I said a couple of weeks ago, there was a guy that went to the Chili Bowl, ran buggy street stock, and put a smaller motor in it because that's what he could handle. He's going back this year, he's going to put a bigger motor in it because that's what he can handle. That is the way it's supposed to be done, and most people are not there. Most people just think, give me more motor, give me more motor. My kid did it. You know, just messing around. And, I mean, if you've ever seen him race, he's high side bandit, and he couldn't get no higher. So, Chris says we need a big ring with 16-ounce gloves for side tournament at the next fall brawl. That's where that all stemmed from, Chris, is everybody said you put money on a slash race, there is going to be a fight. And we've had the best racing ever with money on a slash race. Excuse me, in a lot of people's opinions. Josh says only if there's a weight rule. Dustin says the 13.5 classes are a stepping stone or for guys who can't or don't want to run mod. If you want more motor, go run mod. Yes. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you're there. You know what I mean? I would be interested to see what an open motor buggy street stock looks like on a track in this area, not as big as a Chili Bowl. Rick Taylor says can't be fast without and be out of control. And there's an edge, right? Josh says I'm a little guy. So am I, Josh. This camera just makes me look big. So yeah, that's where it is. It's a good week. I think it's a good lead to figure out what we have to do. I think 13.5 buggy street stock stays and will probably not change in a long time, if ever. A lot of guys were concerned thinking the buggy street stock should be a 17.5. Now 17.5 open might not be a bad idea, but 17.5 just stock I don't think is the motor for that car. But I don't see changing that. That class is so competitive, a lot of people in it, and really, really good racing. So I don't see that making much of a change. So, but I think you have to have something. You know what I mean? You have to have some kind of a traveling. If we did a traveling series, I would say buggy street stock would have to be there. I also say, obviously, the two mod classes, the two 13.5 classes, buggy street stock, and then you would pick your other one. So you'd have 6. Around here, I would do slash at my track, but I probably wouldn't do slash at Brad's unless it picks up. His slash numbers, him and Cedar, we talked about it, they're really low. Now I hope the BL2 system helps that come back because those cars are so fun to race. The B-Mod class, I don't know where that's going to go. I've heard talk around here that a lot of guys that raced here last year with the B-Mod aren't going to bring them out next year. So that's where it is. Dennis says, guys want to dump a lot of money on a just stock motor just trying to get an advantage. Open motor will eliminate that. Yeah, it would. Tech and just stocks would too. How many tracks tech the just stock every week? Here's what we're talking about with that, okay? Kind of got off on a sidebar, and Dustin talked about it earlier. And here's what got it started. I didn't get in on it. I was just watching. Honestly, I didn't poke my nose in it because I've had enough shit stirred lately. I don't need any more. Fast Guy put out a deal about 13.5 just stock that he has built up and is selling. Says it'll pass tech, and the arguments started coming in that it won't. So I reached out. Sean was in that deal. I don't know if he's still in here or not. And I reached out to him, asked him what his spec was. Midwest Mods, Sprint, Mod Sprint, Mod Late Model, 13.5 Sprint, 13 Late Model, and Street Stock. Yeah. Oh, Midwest. You had Midwest Mod. I would do Midwest Mod, Randy, in certain areas. It is starting to grow again here. I think that's good. But I don't know. I've been watching that class a little bit to see how much it's growing, and it does seem to be getting bigger. So that's good. I hate to say this, but I think that's going to take your B mod. Anybody disagree, shout out. And I know there's some heavy B mod guys that are normally in here. I think Midwest Mod is where you're going to have to go if you want to run that car. Now, that style of car. I just think the B mod's going to go away. And the SC mod in Illinois is gone. There's not many people at all running SC mod. But if you were to run a traveling series and run to Indiana, you would want SC mod. Because there's a lot of SC mod guys in Indiana. You see what I'm saying? Rick Taylor says, no. I know, you run 13.5 B mod. I understand that, Rick. But I just don't see enough of them being out there. I don't know. Here's the other problem, is there's 9,000 iterations of what a B mod is. You know what I mean? We talk about rules being close. Our rules are very close here, but in that class. But like if you go to Iowa, it's going to be a different rule. You go to Indiana, it's going to be a different rule. You go to Michigan, everybody has a B mod. What a B mod to some people is not a B mod to everybody. So that's where it's going to be interesting to see how that goes and works out. But I think Midwest Mod is growing, Randy. I think that's not a bad choice. Dustin says, Dennis, it's not what you think. Over 49 degrees of timing is a waste. But anyway, so there's what it is. I wonder, you know what I mean? So Fast Guy's out there talking that. And the comments come in about that won't pass tech. But the reality of it is most people aren't teching them anyway. There's a lot of tracks in the area that do not tech. The thing that I was wondering is, how about if there was a way, and this could happen really easy. The problem is you just have to have the right thing. You just have to have the right equipment, and it's not cheap. So tech them with a motorizer. Put a sticker on them, write the number of the sticker down with the owner of the vehicle, the owner of the motor, and have a database for it that's available to anybody. You have to have tracks that are reputable to do it, honestly. I know Limestone does it a ton. He has a big old notebook full of them, which is great. I don't know if he copies the number of the sticker he puts on them, but something like that would help. And then if you come in and you have a sticker on it, you're ready to rip. You know what I mean? You can verify the number on the sticker and you're done. Teching would be really easy at the end of the night. You done with the 3 cars, you pull the top 4. The other third goes to the top 3 go up, the 4th one's there just in case. You tech them all, and you see the numbers there, and it's the same number it was, or a approved number. So, okay, yeah. So he has the sticker number with spec on his book. Okay, yeah, okay. I didn't see how I knew he was doing it, but I didn't investigate that deep when I was up there that day. So, but yeah, so there it is, and then you have that. You would put that as a database where everybody could get to it. Look up a name. You say, okay, Dustin Cooper, here you are. This is your number. Is it the same? Yes. Okay, you can race that motor. That simple. It would be very easy. There's no pull motors. There's no resoldering motors. There's none of that. Well, understood, but you have to have a way of checking that number against something, right? There has to be a way or a way to search it. I don't know. I mean, so okay, if the name is irrelevant, we'll go down that path. If I go out and buy a just stock motor and I buy a sticker and put a sticker on it, yeah, I guess you would just have the sticker as long as the sticker number's in the database. I guess that would be okay. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been with enough guys that do it, you know what I mean, to figure that out. But there has to be a way that we can keep track of it where if Limestone does it, whose reputable track does it, then I don't have to worry about it. They're tamper-proof stickers, Chris. They come off. If they come off, you better get it teched again. Jason Hahn, I think is where are you from, Jason? It's the first time you commented. Put in there where you're from. We're going to try carbon chassis SE mod and 13.5 next weekend at Limestone. It sounds like there's interest in seeing if it's really advantage in a B mod. I think that's been tried, honestly. I think that's been tested there. Sterling, Illinois. All right. Well, glad you're on here. Yeah, that's... And Finkel's on here says there isn't. Yeah. I don't know that there's an advantage or not. Rick Tiff says carbon fiber will make it an A mod. Rick, what they're doing is they're going to do a trial, I think, and I'm just guessing because I think this has been done up there before. The way it sounds is they're going to do a trial, and they're going to see if carbon fiber makes a big difference as long as you're running 13.5 just stock motor or 13.5 open, whatever it is. Open motor. RB mods run open motor carbon car. Okay. Yeah, see, I don't know. There it is. RB mods don't. RB mods run factory chassis with a 13.5 just stock. Or 13.5. I think it's Roar. I'd have to look at the rules. I don't even remember. We don't get enough. Didn't win at your track. No. Yeah, Weasel. Weasel was here that night. We had that happen here. And guys, it wasn't about the carbon car because the carbon car didn't win anyway. It's about the rule. If the rule states that you cannot run that, you can't run it. That was the whole point of that. Not the fact that the carbon car was a carbon car. It was the fact that the rules state that you cannot run a carbon car, and you did. So that's where that problem came in. So, hang on just a second. Let me look something up real quick. But the B mod, maybe that would grow the class. There's a lot of SE mods out there sitting. Maybe some will run if they had to do was swap motors. Yeah, maybe. Finkel says come run them. Maybe you're going to lose some guys in that just because of the stereotype. But I mean, you got to figure out what weighs out best. And I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent for any of you guys. I'm just saying that some guys are going to come in and say, well, that's a carbon car. I'm not running against a carbon car. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's what's probably going to happen. Yeah, 13.5 Roar and Blinky is what we run. So, but that's my only point to it. It don't matter to me. We have enough to run them every week, but there's not a huge number of B mods, and maybe that will help. Maybe it won't. I don't know. That ought to be a decision that has to be made against everybody else's rules, but I don't think most of the outdoor tracks probably aren't going to let that happen. So, yeah. He says that's true. I can agree with that. Yeah. I just think it's stereotype, guys. I mean, I think, honestly, and I know this, I know a guy that did it just the other week. You can take a 13.5 late model and put it on a buggy street stock chassis, and you can win with it. Rick Taylor says, I really think all the tracks that run B mods need to have same rules, like Tony said earlier, to make different earlier, too many different rules amongst tracks. Yeah, but you're not. That's hard to do, Rick, and it's really hard to do state to state. But I agree. I mean, a national rule set would be great. Our open SC or an open chassis. Our SC late models are an open chassis, Chris says. Yeah, I think that's probably where open stuff is going to go, from a B mod to a late model chassis. My opinion is, I think that's probably a better bet anyway. I don't know, man. I'm not about changing a motor and going up a class. I want to see something more, or change a body and go up a class. I like more. Brett says Tim Tyler is running a carbon mid-motor slash in B-Mod every week. I have a Prodigy and it's trash at Limestone. Yeah. Tim ran that carbon car here. So, until the rules change, he won't run it again. And I'm not saying, and he didn't win. So, I mean, but I'm telling you, you get the wrong guy in a carbon car, I think people are going to bitch. So, I don't know. I don't know if the carbon's there or not. Yeah. Well, that's what we said too. I told the guys. So the back, I think no, you weren't here for that one, Brett. I told the guys, maybe you was, I don't know. But anyway, I told the guys, I said, "You guys want to protest?" And it was a no. I said, "Okay, let him roll then." So, Joe Prain says probably the first time a rear motor buggy late model won in years. So Joe was the one that won 13.5 late model down at Slideways, I believe, in a Bandit based late model. So, all you 13.5 late model guys, next year, if you see Joe, make sure you thank him. Okay? Or cuss him out, one or the other. Thanks for listening to In My Opinion. Don't forget to join us live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central on Kempton Speedway Facebook page. Catch our highlight show dropping Wednesdays on RCU Radio's YouTube, Spotify, and all major platforms. Please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.